coldness and the cruelty we're seeing in this reality around us? Simple fact is that everybody cares. Some have just been conditioned right out of it, but when we get right down to it, inside of the heart, everybody cares. Even Dick Cheney, even you know who, the Wicked Witch of the East out there, man. I mean, all of them. When it comes right down to it, people really do care, even though they can shut that off and stomp it down inside of themselves so far you'd never even know they had a heart, let alone that they even gave a shit about anything other than gimme, gimme, gimme. Where does that stuff start? This gimme stuff, this idea that you're entitled to take from others, criminally so. Well, darling, this starts in your childhood when your parents are a little bit unfair with you. Something happens. They punish you by taking a toy away from you and giving it to your sister or something. Well, of course, you ain't going to take that shit lying down. You're going to steal that sumbitch back, ain't you? First chance you get. And you're going to turn into a ravenous dog because of it. And you're going to be a curse on the earth for a while. Because you just happen to be in a place where you can make a difference. So some little son of a bitch, little dark force going to grab onto you and influence you tremendously now. Because it just did right there. And you're going to have the effects of PTSD type controls placed over you for the rest of forever. It seems, at least this life. But remember, it's all an illusion anyway. It kind of loses its fire that way. And then you can go find the flame that isn't a flame at all, but a direct light, which is you. Coming back to life, too, baby. It's right here and right now. Little miracles we share all the way around here, all the time. In that Coyote way and a Coyote Medicine Show, because you got to know the reality or you can't go with the flow. You got to do more than trust. You got to do more than believe. You got to do more than have faith. I mean, that's all fine, noble, and good. But look how misled we've been by faith in leaders that were full of shit. Faith in ideas that didn't go anywhere, just kept us imprisoned and happy in the prison. Yeah, my backside. Ain't nobody ever been truthfully happy in this prison. Nobody. Not even, the old you-know-who back there a couple thousand years ago, or the BD that preceded him a few thousand years before that, or the Hindus before that, etc., etc., etc. You know what I mean, babies? The only way to be happy in prison is to get out of it. That's the only way you can be. Well, I mean, I can't say you can't hold an elemental happiness no matter what your condition is, of course. But I'm talking about, the restrictions on your freedom and the unblessed feeling. It goes away when you walk out that front door. A warden pats you on the back and says, I know you ain't going to do that no more, man. Now, why the hell did we get thrown into that prison in the first place? We've been out robbing banks, raping women, raping men. What we been doing, man? Oh, you girls. God, I'll tell you, man. Well, that's another story for another day. But just keep it civil, will you, chicks? Oh, I'm just playing with you a little bit, honey. Don't get mad. Shit, get even. That's what men are for, so the women can get even. Don't you realize what a game we've been playing? Even in such a basic little miraculous place as that, men and women's, as if we're that different, as if we're that estranged from one another, which, God, in this reality, it seems like for the most part we are. Well, here's to estrangement, because it always leads to rearrangement and to getting back together again. So don't think of anything as negativity, just think of it as, wow, excuse me. Just think of it as another step along the way on the old long highway of life, man, and stay on the highway. Don't let them drag you down there and have to go walking through the sewer to get anywhere, man. Not in life. Get up on the highway, man, where you can cruise, the Autobahn of the rainbow reality, man. No speed limit, no turns, no curves, just haul ass, Because there's that shining sun up at the end of it there, which is the beginning of everything. You're going to launch off the high ramp of life, man. When you hit that sun, you're going to be amazed at what's been done. Because all of a sudden, the freaking illusion falls away. You lose your fear of the sun right away because you see it ain't burning you up for starters. Etc. You see through all the lies we've been taught and trained into here. And when you burst through that sun, that gateway of life, guess what you see on the other side? Your whole life renewed, your whole life revisited, your whole life back together again. Because that's where we are dreaming this dream here. See, so we just dissolved away the illusion and combined it with a reality that's true and pure and simple. And that's what we're all sitting around here waiting for. It's what we all been partying our asses off, celebrating. Because we know that's already happened. Even though we ain't there yet. Screwy coyote medicine in this reality through and through. But this is the truth. And everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. That's where your darker control freaks are getting a little panicky now because, well, the gig is up. The game is over and life goes on and they know they don't get to be boss anymore. God, they've had so much fun with that shit. You know, being the subtle boss, the cruel boss in the background, pokes them in the ass and makes them go that way instead of that way. Shit like that. Oh, God. That's such a delightful place. Some little kids so traumatized they can't help it, you know, by cruel parents that had cruel parents before them. Somewhere it started way back there in an illusionary sort of way. Because in reality, our hearts are so loving, the one heart in all of us, that we can't be cruel. And you know what? Not only that, we can't create anything incongruous here, anything that doesn't fit and flow into harmony. Yeah, that's our truth. So why in the hell are we living opposite? Why in the hell are we putting up with all the illnesses and diseases, both in our governmental realities, our medical realities, our physical realities, our cosmic reality? Well, there you go, baby. The cosmic reality takes these other realities and puts them all back together again. And that's the direction we're headed in. And that's what all of this lively experience is leading us into. To get the hell out of this place where barbarism is so highly honored and only the power of the sword, the gun, the bomb, the weaponry is honored. That ain't no power. And you know how we undo all that? You know, this is the funniest thing about it all. We just undo death inside of ourselves. Now, I know a lot of you, because I've had these conditions that have forced me to go into myself. Well, forced in a sense. I didn't have to, and I wouldn't if I wasn't me. But I'm me, and so I did. So it forced me to go inside myself and look a little deeper, look a little stronger. There's this one little feeling I've never been able to quite get through just yet. And it turns out it's kind of an implant. And I hadn't realized it at that level before, because it's so deep. Everything else, messes with your surface operation. But this thing is your surface operation given in a deep way. It's where they, quote, quote, they take over humanity. They interrupt the signal between the heart and the mind and the soul. They interfere with it through an implantation of a silicone device in every human being that lives. And this silicone device has life, and it lives inside of you. And it has a conscious presence, an intention to destroy you, and torment you along the way to that destruction. On the other side of it, there is your heart, which is bound and determined that no matter what illusion and pain it has to go through for this, it's coming out of it full and ever-present no matter what. In other words, it will not be destroyed by what it creates, even if it is evil and nasty and seemingly opposite of the real love that we live in. Even if the world it creates for us to live in is a piece of shit. Well, I got to remind you, as I do quite often, shit boils down to basic elements and becomes the fertile fields of life once again, you see. That's why we chose to do it. It's a metaphor, yes, and a big one. But see, we had to break it down to its basic elements, and the only way to do that was let it get completely out of hand, at least as far as we could see. So we created a safe space, a prison in which to act it out. It's the world we call the 3D, and it ain't just Earth. It's the whole reality around us, the universe and everything. It's a superficial illusion created to have a very real feeling to it, so that we could come in here and act out our baby-like ways, get to feeling. Give this feeling a root. I mean, by denying feeling, we make feeling that much more possible. Do you understand that? by stepping away from it, in other words. Man, the first feeling we feel when we step away from it, what is pain? The pain of separation. We have just stepped away from our eternal love of which we're created of. That's the human game. That's the perception we're birthed into here. Now we got to recreate the love that recreates creation, that is creation. We got to find that inside of ourselves, allow it to be, and get your stinky little mind out of the way, you cruel little turd head. I'm sorry, and I hate to use such name-calling terminology, and I'm not really sorry. It's kind of funny, really, because we're all turd heads in a way. Again, we're breaking the old bullshit down to the elementals, the basic elements of life, from which we will live forever. And we wouldn't have known these, and they wouldn't be solidly in place had we not stepped away from them so harshly. In this relatively safe environment of the 3D universe. You know, produced by Cecil B. DeMille and Francis Ford Coppola mutually, and nagged into being by their old ladies, the several different ones they had. Man, I'm telling you, they really needed some color to give some life to this black and white world, didn't they? Well, here we go, man. Producers and directors lining up all over the place, because this grand finale demands it. If there's a talent in this universe, it's here working with us on this grand staging of the grand beginning. Yeah, we ain't going to no end. Not the end of the way of the world. It's the end of the way of everything. The end of life as we know it. The beginning of life as we truthfully know it. You see? So there's no end. It's just a continual flow, man. We go from one stage to another, one stage to another, one stage to another. It's called multidimensionality. It's called expansive growth in the spirit of love, man. It's called the cosmic way, which is understood by just about everybody in this 3D, including you and me. We just got to open up to see. The cosmic is where we create, and that is our ever-loving sweetheart inside our soft, sweet little hide, which creates the harbor of the hide for itself. Needs a nice, warm place to, radiate life from. Well, there it is. It's got it right there inside of you. Filled with this simple, complete, divine intelligence, too, that goes beyond faith, trust, and knowing. Simply living because it is. See, there's the difference. The knowing that you've known in the past, the trust, the faith, etc., been misplaced for the most part now, hasn't it? Because nobody's trustworthy here. That's the illusionary world. You see, and so then you always have to be on your guard and looking out for the guys with the knives and the guns and shit like that. They're going, take. Well, what if you got next to nothing to take? What are you so damn afraid of? Then you still are. It's crazy. Oh, your life. Oh, well, again, let's just close that old doorway on death. Shorten up the rainbow bridge to the point where, there's rainbows everywhere and the bridge doesn't exist anymore. The worlds are united. We walk right through the sun. We float through the sun and become the one that is the son of the Mother Earth. And the sun and the Mother Earth are united. The age of the blue star has begun. Now those folks up there in North Dakota, in some subliminal sort of way, they're feeling the conscious presence of this blue star. And some don't quite resonate with it just yet, but they're feeling it. And because that feeling, it motivates their hearts to protest the insanity in this world. And this pipeline is just a symbology, just like most of it is. But it's very, very crucial that it be stopped. You can't rape the land like this anymore, and there's no point in it. We have free energy technology. We do not need the oil. We do not need the gas. We do not need the coal. We do not need the nukes. None of it. Don't even need electricity. Energy flows far more naturally than that and doesn't have to be pushed, pulled, and prodded. Energy is life, made of light. See, we're starting to understand more natural flows now. That's been hidden and invisible in the background, but really makes it all happen, that which I call the cosmic. We're starting to understand the flows of power, of energies there, And as we do, we return to our state of truth. And in that truth, Anything we needed anytime, anywhere is already there. And in fact, need has gone out the window. We don't know what that is anymore. Hunger? Thirst? No. Nothing like that exists anymore. Those were abject rules in an abject world created by an abject heart that needed to abjectly subject itself to some harsh cruelty for a while and pure torments. Because it didn't know any better. It was a baby. It had, I'm telling you, even though I could see it and be it in advance, it had no real way to contain itself. It had to step over the line and go that way for a while. So that's why we created the safety of the 3D. So even if, there's weapons far more powerful than nukes, and these guys are, in the background, the secret ones are starting to discover even those, But of course there's ETs beyond them that already have those supposed technologies. But again, remember, this is a 3D reality. And, and that's been the reality that 3D created for itself. In its unreality, in its unwise, in its abandoning of wisdom, and giving up the strength of the great heart to be a powerless human being and seek power through the cruelest of means, because that was the way here. If you weren't a heartless sumbitch, you didn't get anywhere here. I mean, the heartfelt ones get a little ways, but never, never, ever get it as good as the cruel ones. They're always rewarded. The ones that, just soon, evaporate their mother as look at her, etc., that have that heart of a heart, are given the bigger sway here because they're very, very controllable. And they'll do anything the cruel beings beyond them want them to, because of that little implant at the inside of every human being that lives, that little silicone round little ball that keeps the illusion going. Now, how do you deal with that thing if that's that absolute and that implanted? Well, you got to remember, it's a dreaming world. Therefore, none of it is created in solidarity with anything else. It's all together in its own self, of course, as is life, but at the same time, it has an unreality to it, a surreal edge that our soul knows all about, and that's what encourages the physicality through its ever-present experience here, as difficult as that might be. The soul knows why it's here, and it's happy about it. Despite the drudgery, despite this cussing of these things in 3D that just don't want to flow with you. It's amazing how it works here. You can have such a synchronistic life, yet you try to unbutton your shirt and your fingers fumble. Something like that. Frustration's everywhere, you see. Well, it's all about getting over that and getting on with it. And don't worry about it. Ain't no big deal. So what if you can't unbutton your shirt? Might be fun to ask somebody else to do it, eh? See, there's always the heartfelt way. But we've just been conditioned not to see it because we have been completely reprogrammed away from an angelic presence inside of ourselves, our heart that's pure and simple and sweet, and is the child that got us into this mess of polarities and dualities and push-poles and all that shit in the first place. Sweet child of life, but that's an innocent move, therefore no one is guilty since then. So you take the whole loop of time, you unwind guilt out of it and shame, because there's sure been a heap of that in practice here, and realize love has nothing to be ashamed of. This has just been an experience, a cosmic one. And now that we're starting to, you notice you're living a little outside your body as well as in it, Now that we're starting to do that, we're feeling a little removed from this reality, yet still a part of it. I mean, still playing in it, but a little removed. What is that all about? I told you it was surreal. Now you're just beginning to realize it, and also where that leads. And the why, well, you'll appreciate that as you come to realize it more fully inside of your presence, like the rest of us, We're all here to catch on. We're all providing not more than clues for ourselves. It's blatantly in our face. But we have to slow down a bit, love ourselves a bit more in order to be it and see it. That's all. I mean, really, it's just simply a matter of realizing that without care, life is not going to exist, and it's always going to be like this, a heinous mess. But the second we recognize that our heart is built of care, that our life is built of care, and the furthest thing from a mind is not caring, then you've just reversed the flow here. Actually integrated it all together and caused it to be cosmic, which then becomes our reality, because that's the truth. We live cosmically. That's who we are. We're angels, for heck's sake. The physicality just gives us a root-in feeling in this reality, the true reality. The reality from which we dreamed this cruel dream and gave ourselves all these different parts to play in it. I don't know, a lot of you guys don't even know who Cecil B. DeMille was. He was a great film director back in the 40s and the 50s, you know. He liked to produce epics like, you know, big, strong Romanesque stories about Egypt and shit like that. You know, that was his forte, you know. Well, I use him as kind of a metaphorical, satirical representation of the director in all of this, man. You know, the producer and the director, you know. And the script writers and the scene makers and everything else too, because it's all inside of us. Each one of us is a regular old Cecil B. DeMille producing our own grand scale of a reality we call a movie, you know, a fictional reality we call a movie, which, you know, it has a presence because you feel it. That's the real edge to it. That's the real edge to movies when you go enjoy those. See? It does have a feeling to it. And a lot of times it's designed to manipulate and control you or further those premises inside of yourself. But if you're a living, thinking, thoughtful, sensitive, caring human being, you can't be touched like that, no matter what they put in the movie or how scientific their manipulations are. It's insane to even think that a human being can be moved away from their heart, even though you see the evidence of you all around you, sometimes even within your own life, huh? See, but in reality, we are such love bunnies. To live like this is impossible. And that's how you know that this life we've been living here in the day and night world is 3D, is fictional. It's a dream. Because you know in your heart of heart, in the marrow of your bones, you know love can not create difficulty or harm. It's totally congruous with itself, totally in harmonic synchronicity with all life. That's truth. You ready for it? Can you really understand and accept that? Or are you having too damn much fun playing it off politically or genderized, well, you know, in the gender wars, whatever. You know what I mean. There's a gazillion distractions here designed to take us away from our heart and keep us as unclear can be. And distractions can be kind of delightful, and there's nothing wrong with participating in some distractions as long as that doesn't become the total action. See, because you can be completely distracted, yet you'll be pulled along by your fellow human beings, because nobody is getting lost along this trail. We ain't letting it happen this time. We're pulling out of the fat, out of the fire like our ancestors never could, all of them, back for millions of years. Don't listen to this insane bullshit here about we raised up from monkeys 6,000 years ago. Holy shit. That makes about as much sense as nothing. I mean, look around you at all the evidence in this reality. This world is millions, billions of years old. Do you think human beings are fairly new on it? I don't think so. We might have gone through a recreative moment 6, 10, 12,000, 26,000 years ago, something like that. Yeah. Human beings have been through a lot of new starts. Look what happens in your everyday life, man. New starts, well, sometimes they become with routine regularity, but at least a few of them in your life. A turn in a complete new direction. See, we're used to that. We're used to change, though we fear it mightily. But babies, our heart has got to that place where it's so sick of this reality and all the cruelty in it, it wants to go home. It's had enough of this shit. There's no more lessons in this life. It's done. It's going to take that little silicone thing that we allowed to be implanted in ourselves so many millions of years ago that it took us completely away from ourselves. And we're going to love that little rascal down to something cosmically intelligible that works in harmony with the rest of us. That's why it's there. To help us see the illusion, be the illusion, and then, of course, integrate out of the illusion into the reality from which we dreamt the illusion we lived in. So in that way, there's really no implant. There's nothing like it. You know, we're all just a cosmic life living in a grand play, produced by a guy like Cecil DeMille. Actually, by a man. In a sense, it's the divine feminine produces it all. But the authoritarian dickheads wanted, to have some control over you. So they gave you a god with some male presence outside of yourself. So you're always looking to them for strength and protection and stuff instead of in yourself recreating the life if it's incongruous. Instantaneously. In other words, anytime there's any trouble, babies, you just change it because your heart can't build it any other way. It only knows the loving way, the pure heart, and the innocence in all of that. And it's bringing us back home to a very real life in which everyone and everything is made of love. And sadness is no longer. A mother can arise and embrace us. And we can all thank our blessed stars that we got through this shit okay and developed the appreciative way and gave the bounce to creation that it had been needing to get for a long, long time, baby. We've been hanging out without the divine for, way too long now, ain't we? You see, and you see where it leads. Look what's happening in this 3D, but also see what's right behind that. Total commission to truth. Because this world is crumbling and falling and dying, and it ain't going to last much longer anyway. So you might as well subscribe to your heart now while you can. Nobody's getting left behind. No worries. I play with you a little bit. No worries. No one's getting left behind. Everyone is making it this time. Because guess what? We're all equally innocent across the board. Now it's up to you to find out what that really means. Inside of yourself, you see it, then you can be it, and then you can understand. Hey, and speaking about hurricanes, we've done quite well with that little spell down there in Florida, haven't we, babies? You doggone right, man. That hurricane's just barely brushed up against the edge of Florida there, slamming her down a bit, but I ain't taking no buildings down, no damages, no homes gone down. Bunch of power lines, people out of power, big deal. We can get by without that down there now, can't we? Torrential rains, there's going to be some flooding. But let's just keep pushing that thing away from the coast with our united universal heart here on this Coyote Medicine Show on this hazy radio network, joining in with a whole crew of friends, angelic persuasion out there amongst the human beings of life living and pursuing happiness by pushing that storm away from damaging places on good old Turtle Island here. And let's get everybody back to life. If it's got to hit anything, let's make sure it does a direct hit on D.C. and nowhere else. No, I'm kidding. We don't want to see those folks go down either, man. Got to give them a chance to come around, man, just like ourselves. I mean, we've all been foolish. We've all done things that we thought were backwards and stupid. And some folks even have regrets. Me, well, the past is past. All I can do is what I'm doing right now at last. And I don't worry about what's gone past. I deal with it as I can. If it comes up in the present moment, well, I take care of it, Misconnections, disconnections, reconnections. One thing that's always bothered me is it takes disasters to move human beings, like this storm. Now that activates us to, get a little more energetic about things and exercise a little more of our power that we usually deny within ourselves and don't give ourselves credit for having. Any one person sitting down there in Florida or Haiti, a bunch of people got killed down in Haiti, by the way. Our prayers go out for all of them and their families too. And let's keep this world a more settled place and not have to have a disaster to push us into place. Let's listen to the dead and come back to life inside of ourselves right now, so no one has to die this way again. Close the door on death. Have nothing to be afraid of. Shit, what's wrong with us guys, huh? Burn them bridges. That Rainbow Bridge. Well, we burn it up by enlightening it to such a great extent that, wow. You know, the Rainbow Bridge leads right through the sun. Once we make our transition there, we bring these two realms together and there's no longer a division. See? That's how greatly this world can change in a heartbeat, and that's what it's about to do right now. And how? I mean, right now could be any time, but it's right now. And it's bigger than any hurricane dreamed of being, or an earthquake, or tornado, or a complete earth change. Because, man, we're changing more than our underwear. We're changing our inner and outer wear here. We're going through the hugest transition human beings have ever seen since we began this little adventure here, you know. Many millions, even billions of years ago, man. After the great confab in the sky and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Well, listen, kids. We're at completion points now. We're finishing up. I know it don't seem like it in the 3D. Because the mother truckers are hanging on like they're insane, aren't they? Insanely hanging on to their insanity, ain't they? Like bloodshed and militarism is going to do anything on this earth that's going to make anything get right. We've had, what, millions of years of that, and guess what? We got through it, and now we're getting on with it. We're getting away from it. We're done with that shit, man. We're putting the past behind us at last. And guess what? We're not stepping into the future either. We're stepping into the now of the moment of and how, and we're living life as if it is right now. And that's all there is. The past don't live, the future doesn't either. All that is right here, right now. And that's what is. See, those folks up in North Dakota kind of catch on to that one, don't they? They're willing to gut it out right through the horrible winters up there in North Dakota, 40 below and blowing and drifting snow, in order to prove a point. That you just cannot demean Mother Earth like this and continue doing so and expect anything productive to come out of it. This is the destruction of life, and we just got to face it and see that's what it is and quit doing it. Quit being so goddamn stingy that we're holding out all the secret technology would set everybody free. But see, it doesn't even take that. It's just like this hurricane. We can forestall any disaster up in North Dakota by addressing the disasters that's there right now and changing the hearts of the key players there. That's where it's at. The protest is beautiful, but it only goes so far, and you know we got to do that. Folks, especially out in country places, you know, rise up and protect your Mother Earth when you feel the need to. And babies, our hearts are all joined with them brave people standing up like the angels that they are up there in North Dakota. I know there's a few hairballs amongst them and some instigators that probably the federales have planted in there to get things going up so they'll have an excuse for another big bloodbath. Well, just like we can forestall a storm in Florida, and we'll keep seeing that thing breaking apart, by the way. Little rain ain't going to hurt anybody. Anything else we don't tolerate, man. Just let your heart love this earth enough to set the people free of disaster. So they'll move together without it. So they just do it naturally instead of waiting for some disaster to push us into it. You see, how many times are we going to let our government, here in this U.S. of A., wipe out innocent citizens? I mean, it's been a continual pattern, and I know a lot of you don't agree, but look, ever since Ruby Ridge, we've been dealing with a tyrannical government. Even before that, but that's when they decided to start bloodbathing on the innocent. Think about Waco. They burned women and children to death for the sins of some stupid-ass preacher. Deliberately, cruelly. That was under the old Clinton administration. Think about that. That same heinous, murderous activity exists in somebody else's heart whom we're not going to name. But I wonder who that might be. And then there was what? The Murrah building in Oklahoma City. That wasn't little dingus but with a Ryder truck. The damage was far more significant than that. And the evidence against our own federal government is overwhelming. Same with 911. We've got a bunch of cruel, murderous sons of bitches hiding in the background in our government, sometimes in the foreground, but hiding their activities in the background, that have a war going against the people of this earth, not just of the USA, but they hate us. Those that would oppose us in this reality. God, how crazy it is, ain't it? How can you oppose innocence? Yet they do. They hate us for our innocence, for not being as streetwise as they are and trying to stab each other in back and take it all away because somebody traumatized us in our childhood. And then a whole lot of obliteration of heart and soul began to take place, and pretty soon you're the cruel-ass old Dick Cheney or Donald Rumsfeld. Who the hell knows who you are? 'Cause you don't. Though you're starting to figure it out, see? When you see our governments so bloodthirsty, what about, the little farmer they killed up there in Oregon that was just trying to mount a peaceful protest? Shot him down in cold blood. That's another one. How many times, and look at all the people in prison over that one. These were just dumbass old farmers, ranchers, trying to protect their interests. If they'd have joined with the native people and, and looked out for the earth instead of just their own righteous interests, they might have done a little better with that one. Something tells me the outcome up here in North Dakota is going to be a hell of a lot sweeter than that. I see. Now, this is me looking into the present moment of right now. I see a gathering somewhere up there in North Dakota. I see Indians and white peoples and idiots and contractors and bimbos and, bimbo brains from the oil companies, etc., sitting down and sharing a pipe together and then talking about what's really going on here and what we've got to do to straighten out this earth. Now, this is a condition we can create inside of ourselves, same way we can move a storm. And the disaster that could come out of North Dakota could be a hell of a lot worse than anything that could ever hit Florida. It could be something that wipes us all out, because it could be the end for peaceful protest in this reality. Do we really want to turn the murderous sons of bitches completely loose against the people of this earth? Or do we want to have enough heart presence to create a peaceful conclusion of the North Dakota situation that ultimately leads to the revelation of the secret technologies that set everybody free and we don't have to rape mama anymore to live? Kind of a bad habit, raping your mama anyway. You guys at the oil companies got to get over that shit. You can't rape mama. I don't care how much of an investment you got in your stupid ass oil companies. You can't continue to rape your mother and expect to live a life. You'll be wiped out completely. All of you guys in positions of power that ain't quite ready to transition, bing, you transition anyway. You're gone. You're dead. And you're out of here. Because we're not putting up with your shit anymore. We're alive in the heart and we're loving human beings and we won't tolerate your nonsense. So we provide the gentle impetus from our heart, our unified heart out here amongst humanity, you son of a guns. I love you so. And we apply it to key players in these situations, all of them, the governmental ones, the North Dakota ones, any others that are affecting us, because it's all over this earth. I was put up one this morning about a poor guy down in Australia, same dang protest, one guy, and governmental authority, dickheads trying to come down and wipe him out. It's insane that other people try to gain power over other people because they feel powerless. And they get so sick about it that, massive death in the billions is not inconceivable to these kind of assholes that we have created here. And since we've created them, guess what? We can discreate them equally as quickly, too. And we don't have to tolerate the nonsense anymore. So put your heart energy into answering the real disaster in this reality, which is the lack of heart, which is the authoritarian male dickheadedness that has ruled over the people of this earth in a rapine sort of way for a long, long time now. But we're little kids. We're resilient. Inside I'm talking about. Our heart is impermeable to damage and damaging energies. Our conscious presence is there inside of us, and it has survived all of the turmoil of this reality, including present day shit. And guess what? It's winning. Yes. The heart presence is now in the process of declaring itself across the face of this earth. And again, this is a fair warning, and a loving one too, not a threatening one, not meant to make you fear. But if you don't get with the program, you're out of here. Because our tolerance of misconstrued existence and the vessels and vehicles in human form that implement that misconstrued existence is done, is over. We do not have it anymore, and we're not going to put up with this shit. You know, when the engines started assembling in North Dakota, they started something there. It was an energy that turned the whole earth towards the Mother Earth's heart, including the oil people that they're dealing with up there. And that's why I can safely predict the outcome that I do. These idiots in government up there, in the state government as well as the feds, just don't have very cool heads. So we're going to have to help them realize their cool heart and create in them a desire to mutually settle this thing and to bring about the revolution that we've so long waited. And it should come from the heart of the indigenous, because they're the ones that held the energy human-wise on this continent for thousands of years before the rest of us finally got around to coming back home. And yeah, Turtle Island is home to humanity. It's where everything began, but you got to remember, it's just a little section of it, but it is the section where it began. All of it. I look at these mountains that surround me, and I see the tall places that used to be there where we all lived. And I don't remember harsh and cold weather and high winds or anything like that. Such a thing did not exist then, nor does it now. Nor does all this heinous cruelty we're talking about, and our intolerance for it. It's funny how this works. But the higher we get, the more we see. The more we see, then the more implemented our heart can be in this reality. And babies, we are not powerless. The most humble soul up there in North Dakota is the beginning of the complete shift for the human existence and the universe around us. Yeah, you heard me right. One simple child up there in North Dakota amongst the many protesters there is the beginning of the whole new world. And we got to encourage that child, because it's got something to say and do up there that's going to bring about this peace. And this great little confab amongst humans that will begin the revolution and liberate the entire planetary reality in 3D as preparation for our bounce through the ascendant way, the age of the blue star, etc. Mother, because we have turned our heart towards her, is preparing us then to receive her gift, the gift of creation, as she surrenders her heart fully and completely to her loving babies, the human race, and each and every one of us as her personal representative in this reality. So we're all Pope Mary Jane, each and every one of us representing in our person the Mother Earth joined with the Sun and all junctures of life that go with that. In other words, the blossoming of creation. Now that's an end to your abomination. An abomination too. I mean, I'm sorry, guy. You got implanted, you got controlled just like the rest of them. I mean, shit, what did you expect? You get away with it? Hell no. But we got away with it now, didn't we? Because we know how to recreate it. So again, let your hearts join and unite in this moment in the desire, the simple desire to see a peaceful, righteous outcome from North Dakota and that situation that's going on there. The peaceful water protectors, as they call themselves. And they are, well, they're actually earth protectors, in the sense that they draw attention to the brutality, the barbarism that we have practiced here in business with routine regularity. It's intolerable. We can't expect this in our existence any longer, nor will we put up with it. We've had enough. As loving hearts that are the saints of humanity, that's all of us. Not anybody individually, everybody individually and collectively. This is how it works here, you see. This is the end of the illusion, then, of opposition. And that's the ultimate outcome of the North Dakota situation. Now, some would see that as a disaster because it's the end of their power. But guess what? It's the return of their power, because they never had any before. They were overcome and controlled by energies beyond themselves and become bloodthirsty and cold because of it. And they can forgive themselves right now as handily as anyone else can, because we're all innocent in this. And therein lies the key of understanding the whole of this creation and of changing it. In a united sort of way, baby. So you get light first. You feel your heart right here, right now. When I say your heart, I'm talking about the feeling of awareness. The feeling of appreciation that loves the life inside of itself and refuses to see it as anything disagreeable whatsoever, and will change and transform everything that interferes with such a perfect, peaceful perception, the very one we're creating inside of our own heart right now for the ultimate benefit of us all. Blessings to everyone, then, as we have begun this day under the sun, transforming everyone, babies. We're not going to take it anymore. We've had enough. Time for peace on earth, time for peace everywhere, especially inside of those who would make war on the people. So let's keep that peaceful energy floating their way, man, in this united, heartfelt sort of way. Dream it. Peacefully resolved in North Dakota and everywhere else across this earth where greed has taken such an ugly hold and people are honored for raping the earth. That's insane. By the way, the governor down in Oklahoma needs a little help too. She's mentally twisted. I mean, she does not fairly represent Oklahoma. I know, I lived there a brief few years. But this governor who was praying for the oil companies, well, she's doing the right thing in a way, only she's praying for all the wrong reason and asking the people to, too, because Oklahoma's income depends on the oil companies. How short-sighted. Her and that dingbat up in Alaska ought to get together and have a little affair. I think they'd have a great time trying to out-stupid each other, don't you? But at the same time, I see in this woman's heart a message of sincerity. She just wants maximum benefit for all of her people, and she don't see very far into what is now in order to accomplish that. She's been bought off and paid for by, and this is what makes her seem so stupid, because she's paid for. She's a puppet just like all the rest of them. But she really needs a hand down there because she's so off. I mean, honest to goodness, she's encouraging people to pray for the benefit and the blessings of the oil companies, which I do, but not in the way that she does. I pray they'll be blessed enough to become conscious, stop killing Mother Earth and all the rest of the people in it for the sake of a few lousy dollars that don't mean a damn thing. And the power goes, where's the power in that? None! You know, we're closing the door on death. And you're not going to have anything to hold over us any longer. So I think you'd best be getting with the program right now anyway, don't you? I thought so. Oh, Grandpa Coyote and all these angels here with us, including Okie Wankanoe, my angelic little presence in dog-like form, our assistant DJ, everybody here, we're all joined together in this. Just let that past shit go and don't play that way anymore. It's really simple. Give it up. Let it go. So says Grandpa Coyote and the angels here on the Hazy Radio Network. Your morning wake-up call and a little bit more, huh? Man, I play those two back-to-back quite often, don't I? Here on the Coyote Medicine Show on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network here. The Rockin'est Network. Whoever found his Grandpa Coyote's hanging around. My cover fell off my coffee and the fly is going to get it. I had to get it back up there really quick. Free day Friday, you know. Got to be free of flies in my coffee. Just don't taste right, does it? No. Oh, babies, I am that wizard, that man on the silver mountain, that heart inside of you that knows only love, peaceful love, ever expansive. That's all we are, and that's what I do, and that's what I do day in and day out here with you on this Coyote Medicine Show. I can't stop loving you, baby. That's David Lee Roth pouring his heart out. That's a ruggedy, gnarly rock and roll dude showing you what he really is. That's why that song's so hot and timeless, because of it, because the heart's in it. You put your heart in anything, it sounds just like that. It's a classic, and it'll live forever. You ready to put your heart in creation then? Let's get this son of a bitch right. Get it straightened out. I am so sick and tired of seeing people suffer for no good reason. Whether they're Indians or black peoples or purple peoples or green peoples or peoples that don't have no color at all, like us bland little pasty ones. Sorry, kids, I'm just teasing us a bit. But it's true, man. You know, we kind of lack that indigenous feel of the reality of truth when you don't have a little color in your skin. That's why we always got to get a tan on that pale white shit, you know. None of this is real, babies. Our real color takes the rainbow and makes creation out of it. That is our color, all of us. We are the rainbow. We are the particles of which life is made out of. And because of that, we are creation. And the living particles in everything. You see how simple that can be? Are you free? Good. Now we don't have to worry about it. Let's keep the energy going good. Encourage the police forces and the engines to gather together and party down at the fire, at the campfire of love, and let's get in agreement about this shit, because the oil company's the enemy, and we all know that. And you guys don't need to defend them, you know, and there really is not an enemy, because they just want what's good for themselves. They just don't see the long-term consequences of they're controlled idiots, you know. Forgive them and let's get on with it. Help them understand, and they will. You open your heart this way. You can't stop loving because you're out of control, like I am. Then you're in it, and this earth is going to change in North Dakota. Instead of being a bloodbath, it's going to be a settlement and a new beginning at last. People, we deserve it. We've lived long enough in the struggle. We really have. It's ours now. Embrace it. Don't let it run away from you. Don't let it elude you. Don't deny it because you feel unworthy. You know, you're probably the most worthy person in your circle of people. Everybody else is worse than you, right? They're worthy too. Say, anybody, everybody. I don't care what stage we're in. We are that same person, every one of us, in our various stages of being. And we love it. And I love you just as I love this Mother Earth too. And I ain't letting go of any of you. And I damn sure ain't letting go of Mother Earth, and I ain't going to let her go down. I'm helping her come back up because I love her so. Just like I do you, heart and soul, babies. Here on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, got the old Grandpa dear. And Okiwan Kenobi too, wishing you a really happy weekend, and may your flights be just right. And the love of your life arrive inside right now and out. Peace on earth, goodwill to everyone, and high cosmic expansion in that orgasmic way as the Coyote thing at play.